racing across the Nevada desert at 763 miles an hour.
Yes, Andy Green, welcome to the hot seat. Big round of applause. Let's go straight to the phones because we have had so many calls this morning. Who's on line one?
Hello, this is Nadia.
Hi there, what's your question, Nadia?
What is the purpose of having a land speed record?
Hi, Nadia. OK, well, the most difficult question to answer, but at the same time a very important one. We had a chance to go out and build a British car with a lot of help. 230 British companies, over 5,000 people around the country in our supporters club helped us with this. And they actually went out and helped us to build the fastest car ever, the world's first supersonic car. And that gives us a chance to show the whole world that British engineering is still the best engineering in the world. And also, it's like climbing Everest. You know, the guys didn't actually climb to the top of the mountain just for the view. You could take an aeroplane up, fly around it, and be back by lunchtime. It's to actually prove that human beings could do that, and the second people to get up there would find the British flag at the top of it. And we're very proud we did that. We think that's important.
Good stuff. Thanks very much for your call, Nadia.
Well done.
And we did it.
Well, you didn't do it.
Well, I didn't personally, no, but I like to feel I was involved with my kind of support and
James,
encouragement.
where's James? James, you've got a question. There you are.
What training did you have to do to beat the record?
Well, got this advantage, of course, my day job as a fighter pilot. I've been driving jet fighters for the Air Force for 10 years, so that's very, very good practice in driving a twin-jet supersonic vehicle. I also had to do some training. We have a rear-wheel steered car. You might have seen it on the video clip earlier. We actually built, it's only a Mini, but it was exactly the same shape and exactly the same steering. The Defence Research Agency built a simulator for practice, and I actually practiced a lot on that. The rest of it, basically just getting fit, learning the car systems, having hot baths twice a day to get used to the heat, because it was very hot in the cockpit. So it's a combination of things, but I think the important thing was being a jet fighter pilot background was helped a lot.
There you
Good
go.
question. Back to the phones.
A lot of training.
Who's on line two?
Hi, it's Simon Keynes here.
Hi, Simon. What's your question?
To Andy, how did you get into your career in the RAF and then get selected for the thrust team?
Well, the career in the Air Force was very easy. I saw some adverts in the paper, and I met a couple of guys who were flying aeroplanes, and they were just standing beside a jet fighter and said, "This is the best job in the world." And I looked at it and I thought, yeah, they're probably right. I want to do that. I was very lucky. I got through the training and finished up flying jet fighters. And then about 3 years ago, the then current holder of the world land speed record, Richard Noble, who ran the whole project, advertised, and he basically just advertised in the paper, and he said, "I'm running this project and I'm looking for a driver." And a lot of people like me with a jet background wrote in. He had 30 or 40 serious applications, including one from a guy who just passed his driving test, who actually said, "My instructor said I did really, really well at my driving test, and I think I could drive your car." And as you can see some of the video in a moment of the actual tests, the driving, the tracking skills, and that was me getting selected. So that was actually how I got through the whole thing.
Great.
There you go. Do you fancy being a pilot yourself, there, Simon?
Yeah, I'm in the Air Cadets at the moment. I hope to join the RAF when I'm older.
There you go. Well, good luck with it.
Terrific. Good to you.
In the skies. What-oh. Thank you. Lewis. Lewis.
You're taking a mickey or what?
No, not at all. Lewis, you got a question.
Did your face wobble like you were on a roller coaster when you were travelling at such fast speed?
Well, so you got this image of me sitting in the cockpit, my face all going big and blobby and squashy. No, it's not that bad. The acceleration is only about the same as the force of gravity. The only difference is instead of going downwards that way, you're actually accelerating in a straight line. I mean, you can imagine going to the top of a really tall building, and actually throwing a brick off and just letting it fall. Don't go and do this, it's dangerous, but if you can imagine dropping a brick off the top of a tall building, the sort of rate that accelerates away from you is the same sort of acceleration as the car. And it's only the same sort of force you're under now. But if you hold, that's 20 miles an hour every second. If you hold that for 40 seconds, you're doing 800 miles an hour. So that's the sort of performance the car had. So it wasn't that bad. Anyway, I had a mask and all that stuff, so you couldn't see it anyway.
Very, very, very fast. That's
Very.
all we need to know. Line three. Who's on line three?
Hey, it's Ian Parkin.
Hi, Ian.
Did you ever feel like backing out before you went into the car?
Well, no, the can't back out. The car doesn't have a reverse gear.
Hey!
I'm sorry, no. Seriously, it was a tremendous, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to become part of a team and a really exceptional bunch of guys, some of the smartest and cleverest people I've ever worked with, to actually build the world's most powerful car, the world's first supersonic car. And as I said earlier, it made us very proud. all of us to be part of that team that went out and showed everybody that Britain is still the best in the world at some things, and the land speed record's one of them.
Good question. Thanks
Top
for your
question.
call.
Katie, you've got a question.
Yes, what did it feel like when you discovered that you had broken the world record?
Well, I think really carrying on from that last answer, you know, it felt terrific because we were so proud of what we'd actually achieved, and it was lovely when we actually got back to this country and found that we'd had such a good response in the press, because of course we're out in the desert, we don't get any newspapers, and we didn't see any TV. We come back, we find the whole country's been following it, and everybody is just as pleased as we are that we went out there and we were racing against the American team. We didn't just win, but we set the biggest record ever. You know, we set the first supersonic record, which was terrific. So the whole team were absolutely delighted.
Let's go back to the phones. Who's on line 4?
Hello, it's Charmaine Harvey.
Hi,
Hello.
Charmaine. What's your question?
What goes through your head when you're driving at such speed?
Well, now there's a tricky one. It's actually trying to control the car, so I'm working very hard on the steering. Actually, difficult to do with 2 hands with the telephone as well. There's actually a lot of steering input to actually keep the car straight. It slides around as I'm actually steering it, so it's very, very hard work. And I'm monitoring the engines and making sure all the systems, the computers are working. So I'm concentrating very hard. And of course, at peak speed, the car went through the measured mile in less than 5 seconds. So I'm concentrating very hard on seeing the beginning of the mile, the end of the mile, throttling back, putting the parachutes out. And it's amazing, even at that speed, you can see the last day we ran was the closest we ever came to hitting anything. We'd never seen any wildlife on the desert at all for 6 weeks. And the last day we ran, we saw these birds just came straight over the top of the car at about 700 miles an hour. You know, and I have this picture in my mind of these sort of large black crow-shaped things. There were sort of 4 or 5 of them. When I say they came over the top of the 700, they weren't actually doing that speed. They were doing about 4 miles an hour, and I was doing the other 690. But it's incredible that even at that speed, you can see things very, very clearly. I didn't have time to think about what would have happened if they'd hit the car, just as well they were over the top.
Did you have time to kind of give them a beep? You know, when you beep when you get things out the way?
Out of the way!
Yeah, there's no point in doing that, you see, because if you actually give them a beep, then you actually get there first, because I'm going faster than the speed of sound now. Yeah, of course. So it's, you know, you go past them and then they hear the beep afterwards, and I'm gone.
A bit confusing, really. OK, thanks very much for your question.
Thanks.
Amy, you've got a question.
Yes, is there much difference between travelling so fast in the air as to on land?
No, it's very similar skills. You know, driving the car, driving an aeroplane, very similar. Obviously, it's different. I've got a steering wheel for the car, and I've got a joystick for the aeroplane. But apart from that, the sensations of speed are very similar. The cockpit layout is very similar. Well, it might be because I helped design the cockpit, and it's, you know, it's a comfortable environment. I'm used to it. But no, it's very, very similar. The difference is for both of them, you get this tremendous sensation of speed. You get used to it, though. The thing is, you know, actually driving at that sort of speed, I'd get up to 700 miles an hour, start to slow down, put the parachutes down, shut the engines down, the car would be rolling to a stop, but through 300 miles an hour. And I was showing this video to a guy who owns the world's fastest truck, 230 mile an hour truck. And at 300 miles an hour, I'm slowing down. I go, on the video, because it's slowing down. And he says, you're relaxing at 300. And I get really, really excited if I get more than about 150 out of my truck. So it's what you're used to.
Excellent. And Karen, very quickly, you've got a great question.
What age were you when you took your driving test, and did you pass it first time?
Somebody put you up to this question, didn't they? OK, well, the first time I took my driving test, I was 19. And the second time I took my driving test, I was 20. Does that answer your question?
I think we're done. Andy Green, thanks very much for joining us in the hot seat. Round of applause.